I grew up, there were not a lot of Asians on television. There were not a lot of role models that I could look after. Consequently, I think I always looked in the mirror and was never happy with what I saw.
I grew up very athletic. I played sports my whole life growing up. And then basically when I got married and started having my family, I was a little less active.
I've just been very sedentary, just led a sedentary lifestyle, and I've always struggled with food.
I remember one of my first classes, the instructor said, pull your abs in. And I remember just like going, oh my gosh, I can't even feel them. There's nothing there.
I started enjoying going to the gym, like working out with people I have never met before, but people who have supported me because they knew what my goal was.
I love the fact that I can do fitness and have a fitness class and exercise with other people. I can help them grow in their faith as well as the fitness aspect.
Over the couple weeks, I just started noticing just a difference in my energy level, in the way I was sleeping, and I thought, wow, okay, maybe I need to do a little more.
These days, I have a fitness class I go to once a week at church, which has been a huge blessing.
It's never too late to do your first 5K. It's never too late to go on a hike. It's never too late to change your life by one decision to make a right decision for your life. So don't give up.
Welcome to the Daniel Plan series on fitness, strengthening your body. My name is Dee Eastman, and I have the privilege of being your host for this entire series. You'll get ideas for a fitness routine that will make you look forward to a daily exercise instead of dreading it. You'll learn to overcome the most common barriers to exercise that people face. Most of us know that exercise is good for us, but our schedules and our negative ideas about exercise can keep us from attaining the benefits of a regular workout. Our teacher will be Sean Foy, an exercise physiologist and internationally known authority on fitness and weight management. Sean is the founder of Personal Wellness Corporation, a consulting firm that makes comprehensive wellness plans for corporations and health facilities. Sean will show us how to feel younger, ramp up a sluggish metabolism, manage our weight, boost our energy, and enhance our creativity. In our first session together, we'll learn how to become Daniel strong. The prophet Daniel had the strength of faith, courage, obedience, endurance, and discipline. He pursued excellence in body, mind, and spirit, all for the glory of God. And we can too. Let's dive in now and see how we can honor God by becoming Daniel strong together. Sean, it's so great to be with you here today.
Thank you, Dee. Thanks for having me.
You know, you really were the one that really originated the whole concept of becoming Daniel strong. I'd love you to tell our following about that.
Yeah, it's interesting with Daniel Strong. The idea of it really is pursuing excellence in our body, our mind, our heart, and our soul, all for the glory of God. And to be honest with you, I've been in the fitness industry for over 20 years now, and having the opportunity to bring Christ into really the ingredient, the formula of helping people change is really the secret. So I think having the ability to lean on God, so it's not about our willpower, it's about God's power, makes all the difference in the world.
Very fun. You know, when you look at the character Daniel from the Old Testament, what was it about him that you really felt was the great example of how he became Daniel strong?
Yeah, Daniel, really, I think the 5 essentials that we talk about in the Daniel Plan, you look at Daniel's faith, he was intentional about his faith. He would focus, for example, he prayed 3 times a day. It wasn't by happenstance or circumstance that he did that. He intentionally made it a point to make that a part of his life. So you could see him leaning on God constantly. He was dependent upon the Lord for everything. And I think something that we don't talk enough about in the health and fitness realm is that identifying your weaknesses, identifying where we're not strong. As a trainer, we're constantly doing that. We're constantly assessing someone's body, for example, and seeing where are the weaknesses, where do they need to improve? How can we balance their strength? And I think Daniel, more than anyone, did that. He realized that he needed the Lord every second of the day. So his faith, his food, I love it when you think about Daniel. I mean,
he did a radical
Oh my
attempt.
gosh!
Yeah, exactly.
That he challenged the guard to say, "We'll eat really our food, and you guys can continue to eat the king's food, and we'll show you." And I think that difference, that was again intentional. When you look at his friends, that his relationship with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that they had this support system. Fitness, I mean, you know, I think this is the thing that we all need to understand is that when it comes to fitness, really, you know, way back in Daniel's time, they didn't need to exercise, right? Entire day was exercise. So if you think about it, he was moving the entire day. Can you imagine what a specimen Daniel probably was? What a stud he was physically, how strong he must have been. So I think, again, faith, food, fitness, friends, and then focus. Out of anything that brings it all together, Daniel was so intentional about what he was trying to do to honor God. And again, looking at what is Daniel strong, it's pursuing excellence in our body, our mind, our heart, and our soul, all for the glory of God. He lived his life to glorify God in every area. So for me, it was really an epiphany. It's like, of course. So I was so excited to really understand.
Yes.
That's really what we need to do when it comes to our own health and wellness, to glorify God.
I love the things you brought out about Daniel, but two of the things that come the strongest to me is just his intentionality in the way that he lived in every area of his life, but also that you brought out that he was aware of his weakness. Yeah. Because I feel like it's kind of hard to compare ourselves to Daniel, who faced the lions, you know, in the den. But it's nice when I can feel like I can compare myself to him and that he was aware of his weakness.
Absolutely.
You know, because all of us, as we're following the Daniel plan, there's such great days, you know, in our pursuit of improved health, but there's also those days where we just hit a wall, or maybe we have a chronic illness that we're facing, or that we've had an up and down journey with, you know, getting some of our goals. So when you look at maybe a typical day like that, where we're not feeling Daniel strong, and when we're very aware of those weaknesses and we bring them to the Lord, can you give some practical steps for us? How do we, maybe we're halfway there on our health journey, what's the best way for us to be able to pursue that level of excellence when it just feels like it's a little far-reaching?
What I've realized with myself and with clients that I work with now is the power of prayer. I can't really emphasize that enough, how much we are relying upon God's strength. And I think we struggle though, don't we? I mean, we want to be self-sufficient. And I think when you look at the fitness and health industry, we're really taught that, you know, have that willpower, that strength, set your goals, which is all good. We have to do those things. But I think more importantly, it's relying upon God's strength. It's looking at ourselves and understanding, Lord, I need your help. I need your guidance. Today, this day, as we move forward throughout our day, I'm relying upon you. I'm looking to you. And I think Daniel was so good at that. If you look at in Daniel 6, verse 10, he talks about intentionally praying, even though he knew, he was told, if you pray, you're in big trouble. And it talks about that he had this habit of praying and he was not going to stop. That is strong. That's strength. But it's really a dichotomy, isn't it? That when we are weak, then we are strong. When we rely upon God, we're strong. In our own strength, we're weak. We're actually weak. So when we look at the Daniel plan and we look at what Daniel has done, I think starting your day with prayer and reliance upon the Lord, in the middle of your day, stopping and assessing and looking at yourself and relying again upon the Lord, and then the evening, I had a dear friend of mine, a pastor friend of mine, he actually would have his watch and he would look every hour, he had an alarm on his watch, every hour it would go off to have him check himself. Are you relying upon yourself or are you relying upon God?
Okay, I have to tell you, this is exactly the same message for those that have followed the whole series of the Daniel Plan. We started out with the foundation of faith, and Gary Thomas really talked about being continually filled with the Holy Spirit, about having this magnificent obsession of this lifelong pursuit of God in our life. And he actually gave an illustration of, you know, bringing ourselves before God in the morning, in the noontime, reassessing again at the end of the day. So thank you for reiterating it now, because it really applies to no matter what aspect of our life, whether it's food or fitness or friends. It's really the totality of bringing that heart before God in all that we do.
Absolutely. I'd love to share a story with you
Sure, please do.
Our groups. That I had a dear friend of mine, a pastor friend of mine. We were standing in line at a men's retreat, and he was a little self-conscious because I was standing behind him and he knew what I did for a living. So, and we've all been there, right, at those buffet lines. And as he was loading his plate, he kept looking back at me, and I wasn't sure what, what was it that, he made me thinking, but he turned to me and he said, Sean, I know what you do for a living. And he said, I want to ask you a question. He said, can you help me? And this is my pastor. This is someone that I look to as so strong, spiritually strong, very strong. But he realized that in the area of his fitness and his health and where his health had gone, he realized that he was struggling. So it took a great amount of humility for him to, I was very honored that he even turned to me and asked me this. And he said, Sean, I'd love to lose about 40 pounds. And then he said, without hesitation, he goes, let me tell you why. He goes, of course I'd like to look better and feel better. But more importantly, this is what he said, and it really hit me, Dee. He said, I want to share the love of Christ with as many people as I can. That's my reason. And then he said, I want to be fit to serve. And he understood what his reason was. He understood his why, what we call really dreaming big. And he went on a little bit further and he discussed with me what his goals were. And I think that for me, and this was years ago, made me realize there's a greater reason to be healthy and well than just looking good, than just getting in a pair of jeans or going to that reunion or what have you that motivates us. And those are okay, but at the end of the day, that's not going to help us when we're really struggling. It's really relying upon the Lord. And he helped me to solidify that idea of being fit to serve, being Daniel strong. And I'm happy to tell everyone that he's not only lost his 40 pounds, he's well into his 70s and he's serving the Lord. Thousands of people have come to Christ. Wow. He's given that hope to, so he made that decision that day and he reached out. That is incredible.
That's great. So he found out his deeper motivation.
Absolutely.
And enlisted a friend to help him.
Exactly.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
For all of us really pursuing this journey, we have a couple taglines that I think are really gracious, just that small steps equal big results, and that it's about progress, not perfection.
Absolutely.
So it's really just incrementally moving forward. On the progress, not perfection, you've really kind of mapped out 5 key areas in fitness that we're going to be talking about through this entire series together. Why don't you give people a bit of an overview of where we're going, of just knowing some really practical, tangible areas that they can move forward in fitness to see some results.
Okay, great. Can I give everybody an exercise?
Okay.
A mental exercise.
Oh,
okay.
perfect. I thought you were going to make me stand up and do some jumping jacks.
Now you can do this with us, Dee, if you want to. What I'd love for you to do in your groups, I'd love for you to sit back in your chairs, kick your feet back, take your shoes off if you want to. And I'd like you just to relax. Close your eyes and just take a deep, deep breath. Now, you don't have to close your eyes if you don't want to, but you can continue to watch me if you want. But what I'd like you to do is just think about for a moment your favorite vacation spot, your favorite place to be, your favorite place just to relax. Just take a moment just to relax. And then what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to picture yourself as healthy and as fit as you could possibly be. Just take a deep breath, slowly exhale, look at your face, look at your body, look at your life as healthy and as fit as you could possibly be. What do you look like? What do you feel like? What is different about you? What would you do with your newfound health and fitness? What is it that God may be calling you? What is in your heart that you feel passionate to do with your newfound health and fitness? What would that be? What would that big dream be for you? Go ahead and take another deep breath. Inhale and slowly exhale and go ahead and open your eyes. Now, if you think about that, we don't spend enough time thinking about that picture of health, let alone why we should be pursuing that picture of health. And I think really the first principle is dreaming big, looking at what could be. Dee, that's what I love about the Daniel Plan. It brings hope to people. It helps us to see really where we could be, not just to bring honor to ourselves. We don't want that. That's so empty. To bring honor to God. What could we do with this newfound fitness? I had a gentleman just 2 weeks ago, 65 years old, almost retired. He actually was going to retire a year from now. And he said, Sean, years ago, and he was down, he was depressed, and he came to me and he said, I'm really struggling with my health. And he said, I used to study karate, and I actually got up to a brown belt, but it's been years since then, 20 years ago. And he said, I would love to go back and try to get that black belt. And I looked at him and I said, well, why don't you? And he said, well, it's been 20 years, I've forgotten so much, but I said, really, You could do it though, couldn't you? I mean, you're going to be retiring. Wouldn't that be fantastic for you to go ahead and pursue that dream? And Dee, in just a second of him thinking of what that dream that he had, that passion that God had probably put in his heart years ago, I could see it in his eyes. I could see that he was thinking, I could do this. I could actually go back and get my black belt. And what God could do with him through that, who knows? What honor could be brought to him through that? So step one is dreaming big again. It's looking at what could be.
That's so great, just that you give us the permission to take a step back.
Yeah.
So maybe we're not where we want to be right now. Maybe we're stuck in a bit of a rut. We have some challenges before us. But to feel like, wow, I could actually take a step back, think through what could be.
Absolutely.
Because I think, the last couple years of being with the Daniel Plan and see so many people make so many amazing changes, transformation is possible. It actually could just be around the corner. I think Dr. Mark Hyman says you're only a couple days away from feeling better when you really start adopting some of these things. And then again, the small steps equal big results over time. You can go back to get that black belt.
Absolutely.
Or you could overcome a chronic illness. We had a couple that came and gave their testimony last week, and the man had lost so much weight. I think they had lost over 165 pounds as a couple, and the man was on 15 medications and had so much inflammation in his body. Well, over a period of like a 2-year window of making gradual changes, he looked at the camera and he said, I have never felt better in my life. I'm off all medications. And he started tearing up and he said, you've given me my life back.
Yeah.
I can be the man I was supposed to be in my marriage, with my family, with my ministry.
Yep.
So thank you for starting out with dreaming big, because
Absolutely.
it really is possible as we move forward.
Yeah. One other quick story, Dee. I think that I have a friend of mine. He jogs every day on the beach. He's a very successful business owner, but do you know why he jogs on the beach every day?
No.
He has a heart for the people of Nepal, and he realizes that when he goes on these missionary trips, he needs to be very fit and very strong. Again, his focus is on honoring God. He's using that form of activity and exercise, obviously to help himself physically, but for a greater cause, a greater reason. So what is your big dream? What is it that you could honor God with? Is it a 5K? Is it a half marathon? Is it a triathlon? Is it whatever that may be? But how could that possibly be used for God's glory and honor? It brings a whole nother dimension to our motivation.
That's great. That's really great. Dr. Ahmad says his greatest motivation is he just wants to have the energy and vitality to be able to be there for his grandkids.
Absolutely.
He's got several grandkids to be there for his wife.
Yep.
So we all have a different motivation,
You bet.
an underlying dream. So thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
I know you also talked about really looking and digging a little deeper for finding what movement really we can enjoy.
Well, we've talked about this before, but honestly, if you think about what is the best exercise to help you lose weight, get in shape, feel fit, strong, it's the one you'll do. And the one you'll do usually is the one that you enjoy. And so really I've begun to understand that helping people identify what is it that you enjoy. So think about yourself. You may want to assess yourself. Usually you'll fall into 3 categories when you look at a fitness personality. There are solo exercisers. Those are people like my friend who likes to jog on the beach. He enjoys that solitude. He's praying during that time. He's meditating. He's thinking about really what's going on for the day. He's really giving it to God. Are you a solo exerciser? I think identifying that is very important. Are you a social exerciser? Do you need the support of others? Do you need that team camaraderie? Would you like to have a buddy that could walk with you? That's also important to identify. And then thirdly is spontaneous. Maybe you're a combination of both. Maybe you just like to go on a whim and just, run with it. So identifying one of those 3 categories I have found is very helpful. In another session, we're going to talk a little bit more about this in more detail.
Great. Did you call it a fitness personality?
Yeah, we do. We actually have a fitness personality. So what makes you tick?
Great.
What excites you about moving? So we got to find that, Dee. I mean, if I were to say to you, oh, no, you need to do this exercise program, this is the one for you, but you're thinking, I don't really like it, it's not going to benefit you.
Right.
So it could be anything that you enjoy. Finding that is crucial.
Cool. Well, I think we're going to talk about that more in session 2, but the best part about that is we're not going to mold you into a certain type of plan with the Daniel Plan. We really will follow Sean's lead and be able to explore lots of different movement, things that bring you joy that you can really stick with for the long haul.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and then really following that next line to our other step would be to really learn to play again. In fact, another question for all of us to think about, what did you enjoy doing when you were 10 years old? If you think for a moment, maybe tilt your head and look up and just think about when you were 10 years old, what is that, 5th grade?
Yeah, but it was the monkey bars for me. I don't know how that would really fit.
Maybe not the monkey bars, but we're gonna teach you in other sessions how to play again, how to find that activity you enjoy, but actually we're gonna walk you through 4 specific aspects of a complete fitness program. So we'll be doing that in depth.
Perfect. You've also talked about a really tangible way to make progress with kind of planning and tracking your fitness. Can you just even touch on that?
It's crucial. Honestly, planning your day, for example, I recommend, or even planning your week, for example, what I'd recommend all of us do, I do this, I tell my clients to do this, get your smartphone or get a calendar out, literally, intentionally, much like Daniel, set the time and the day you're going to be exercising. Put it down on paper, put it on your phone, and if somebody asks you, hey, can you meet me for a meeting or whatnot, just look at them and say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. Having those boundaries around your fitness is crucial.
Great.
And tracking that progress, and we'll talk much more about that as well in other
Perfect. I
segments.
love the intentionality in it because it's going to happen
Crucial.
that way.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, and what is the last one, Sean?
Well, the last one is one of my personal favorites. It's having a buddy. It's having a friend. It's having a group of people that you can meet with. If there were a secret sauce, as Pastor Rick talks about, it's the faith and the fitness. Wrapping really all of the other essentials around that is crucial. I mean, research shows over and over that we're 3 times more likely to be successful with our goals by having a support system.
Perfect. It is the secret sauce of the Daniel Plan. Budding up, having a partner for all these goals makes us really ensure we're going to move in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Sean, that's been great tips and insights on how to move forward as we really look at these 4 sessions on fitness. You are so practical to giving incremental steps to move forward. I'd love you to maybe toss one last challenge to the group as we end.
I love challenges.
Okay, great.
Okay, you ready, guys? This is what I want you to do. Go back to that exercise, that mental exercise that we went through. Imagine, picture yourself as healthy and as fit as you could possibly be. Dream big. Look at what you could do with your newfound fitness. How can you honor God with that newfound fitness? Whether it's a 5K walk, or you want to get a black belt in karate, or you want to do something big related to your health and well-being, what is that? Write it down on a 3x5 card or on a piece of paper, and I'd love for you to share that with someone in your group or with your entire group. So this week, focus on dreaming big and be Daniel strong, and we'll see you next time.